Nassau County Police are calling it one of the worst crimes that they've seen in decades. A man shot and killed his siblings and his niece before turning the gun on himself at a home in Syosset, and police say a dispute over inheritance is to blame.
Joseph DeLucia Jr., 59, used a shotgun to kill his two siblings and his niece before taking his own life outside his mother's home in Syosset, just 3 days after she was laid to rest. The home on Wyoming Court became the scene of a grim discovery when officers arrived to find DeLucia Jr. with a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Inside the house, which had been the longtime family home, the bodies of Joanne Kearns, 69, of Tampa, Florida, Frank DeLucia, 64, of Durham, North Carolina, and Tina Hammond, 64, and her daughter Victoria Hammond, 34, both of East Patchogue, were located by law enforcement. Police reported that the tragedy unfolded 3 days after the funeral of the family's matriarch. It was during this time of mourning that DeLucia Jr. believed he would be disenfranchised. The perception of Joseph Jr. was that he was being cut out of the will and was going to be displaced without a place to go, an official said. The deaths have caused shockwaves through the community.
It's terrible. It's terrible. Nobody should ever. I just don't know which one went first and who had to see what. That's all I'm thinking.
Tina worked as a cashier here at the meat farms in Bohemia for the past 1.5 years. The last time she was here was Saturday, the day before she was killed. Her co-workers are heartbroken.
She made a lot of friends as customers would come in. She helped train half the kids that are working here. And like I said, she was part of our family. She'll be missed terribly.
During the conference, officers underscored the imperative to report signs of mental instability or threats, particularly when firearms are involved.
Officers found him with a self-inflicted gunshot wound to his chest. He was pronounced at the scene. Officers then went into the house to clear the house and make sure if anybody else was injured. Inside, as the commissioner said, in the rear den area, 4 individuals were found with multiple gunshot wounds that were expired. Those victims have now been identified as the siblings and niece of the subject, Joseph. As well as many of you have already reported, the perception of Joseph Jr. was that he was being cut out of the will and was going to be displaced without a place to go. He did have past mental issues, psychological issues that were reported to us that we still have not confirmed. Because of that perception, he decided that day to get a loaded Mossberg shotgun, 12 gauge, approach them in the rear area of the house, and from the kitchen fired 12 shots, striking all 4 of them multiple times. He then took the weapon, went out onto the front lawn, was shouting indiscriminately about what had happened. A neighbor heard him doing this, called 911, and that was our 911 caller. He then self-inflicted shot to the chest and killed himself. As the commissioner said, if anybody has somebody that they think has issues, they should be calling us. We're not saying this incident could have been averted, but maybe it could. When this happened, they arrived to meet the realtor, as you all are aware of. They brought Starbucks, they were assembled in the den area. The brother had stayed behind. There were 13 overall shots, 12 to the victims, 1 to the subject. There's only 1 prior call to this house for a well check with him. That person had called in 2022. He was not displaying any signs of anything that we would take action to take him against his will, that he was dangerous to himself or others at that time.
DeLucia Jr. had lived at the address his entire life and had never lived on his own, leaving his state of mind in question as his world faced impending upheaval. Despite rumors of strife over the will, officials clarified that DeLucia Jr. was not cut from his mother's will, though he was required to relocate, police clarified. With no direct survivors of the DeLucia family, the NYPD has asked for privacy on behalf of extended family members who are left to mourn and reconcile with the consequences of this unfathomable act. The investigation into the murders and subsequent suicide continues.
For more content like this, please thumbs up this video and subscribe.